Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're all excellent. We're going to take a look at this, the NuX MG-30 today. I've previously demoed the MG-300 on this channel before, and this unit is basically if you took everything that was good about the MG-300 and you put it in a far more robust and giggable chassis, you would get the MG-30. There is a proper set of I/O, including an aux-in, a headphone jack, and an effects loop, as well as the ability to attach an expression pedal or external foot switches. Overall, it just kind of feels good. Like this is a much more high quality and robust physical product. But how does it sound? Let's hear some tones. I will do my best to explain features of the UI as I play, but we're going to start off with this Plexi Crunch preset that I made. You can see the signal flow illustrated at the bottom of the screen right there, and then we have the signal block buttons. If I just want to simply engage effects, I can press those, like the delay or the reverb. If I want to get in and edit a particular block, say like the amp block, I can press it and hold it. Pretty sweet, right? I'm using one of my third-party IRs at the moment. If you want to get this one, it's linked in the video description. We'll take a look at some of the options that are available for onboard cabs and mic positioning as well. But basically, using my own IR, I've got the Plexi 100 dialed up. I've got my Les Paul plugged in. It sounds like rock music. Alrighty, what I can do if I want to tweak this is these four controls correspond to these four knobs here. For example, I can turn the gain up, I can turn the bass up, maybe a little less mid-range. If I press knob 2, I get the second page of controls, so I could bring the treble up and the presence down if I like. It sounds like this. Very, very nice stuff indeed. If I wanted to say add a reverb to this, let's press and hold the reverb and then press it to engage it. This is the whole reverb model. This is where I've got it at the moment. Little bit too much, so let's just bring the decay down a little bit, maybe a little less pre-delay, and you can also have this liveliness control. I like darker reverb, so I'll turn that down a bit. If I wanted to use a different reverb type, I can use the big knob to select a room. I think there's a plate on here as well, and a spring, even a shimmer reverb. So a couple of basic types. Let's hear this plate. I'll bring the decay down a little bit, and again, the level down a little bit. I want this to be subtle. That's a big plate reverb. Let's bring that level down even more. I think I preferred the hall, so let's go back to the hall. Again, I'll bring the delay down, the liveliness down, and the level down a little bit. Let's have a listen to that. Yeah, that's my vibe with the reverb. Let's go to the delay and add a delay in here. I really like that there is a model. Is it a model if it's made by the same company? There's the NuX duo time delay baked in here, so a true dual delay. Great pedal as well. There is a panning delay, there's a reverse delay, there's a tape echo based off the NuX tape core. There is a modulated delay, a digital delay, and probably my favorite, the analog delay. No prizes for guessing what this is modeled off. Those graphics are pretty shameless, but it does sound good. That is exactly how I like my delays to sound, and all of this can be tied to tap tempo with various subdivisions. We'll get into that in a second. Let's have a listen to some of the modulation options. So you can see at the moment my modulation is placed after the amp and the IR. If I wanted to change that order, say put the modulation after the amp, I could swap the order by pressing both of these buttons right here, which is very handy. So let's see what we've got going on in the mod block. I've got it set to a phase 90. Lots of options here. If you saw my demo of the MG-300, you know that I loved the CE1 chorus mode. There's a CE2, a stereo chorus, a vibrato, a stereo detune, really cool if you want that 80s sort of grease, a flanger, phase 90, a phase 100, the TC stereo chorus and flanger modeled in there, a univibe, a trem, a rotary. There's a harmonist in there where you can set the key, and that's all of them. Let's go to the CE1 because I know that I love this and I have to play this chord. The phase 90 sounds pretty decent as well. There's a generic effects block up here, which will give me stuff like, well, what do we have? We've got a Distortion Plus model, an RC booster, an AC booster, a Boss DS1 model, a Tube Screamer, a Blues driver, the JHS Morning Drive is modeled in there, or the Morning Glory, I should say. There's a Rat, there's this, I'm guessing like a Keeley Crunch Box model in here, an MI Crunch Box, a Big Muff, and what I find interesting is, like, rather than just call this clean boost, they've just gone straight out and called it a Katana. So let's have a listen to, let's just do a Tube Screamer. Everyone wants to hear a Tube Screamer. So let's go drive down, tone up, level up the way I would use a real world Tube Screamer. I'll turn the delay, the modulation, and the reverb off just so we can hear the boost from the Tube Screamer. Sweet, all right. One trick I like to do is, rather than use a Tube Screamer, is use an EQ as a pre-boost. So again, I want this to be in front of the amp. Let's press and hold those two. And what I'm gonna do with the EQ is, when I edit it, I am gonna select, there's a 6-band EQ, there's this Align EQ, a 10-band EQ, a parametric EQ. I want the parametric, and what I wanna do here, you can see there are several pages of controls here for this parametric. Do I want the 6-band? No. Oh, maybe I do want the 6-band. Let's keep it easy with the 6-band. So let's turn some low end down, and we'll start to kind of push some mid-range on page 2. We can push even more mid-range and maybe roll off a little bit of high end, but I can give it an overall level boost as well. So I've basically created my own custom EQ boost. Let's hear that. So that one sounds super nasty. Let's move over to another preset I made. This one is based around this Fender Deluxe Reverb amp model. Let's just have a listen to the core clean sound. There is, again, a little bit of reverb on here, but this time it's the play. So really sweet, clean platform in there. Let's add in this Morning Glory style drive. I like that a lot. Let's hear maybe a different clean amp model on here, and we can kind of show off some of the amp models here. So there's a Bassman, there's a Tweed style amp, a Twin, a High Watt, there's this Plexi Crunch, which I'm guessing is a Boogie style amp. There's Vox style models, there's the Plexis and all the kind of Marshalls. There's an SLO 100, a Friedman. I don't have a noise gate on here, so they're all a little bit noisy at the moment. There's a Recto, a VH4, which is cool. The Vibro King. I'm gonna go with this, I'm gonna go with this Buddha amp model, because this is kind of a sleeper amp model in here. I'll just kind of bring the level control down a little bit. So let's have a listen to this. It's nice and dynamic as well. Let's hear some of the compressors in here. So we've got several selections again. There's like a Ross style comp, a Keeley style comp, a studio compressor. Oh, they're the three. I feel like there should be a Dynacomp in here as well. Maybe that's in one of the other blocks. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just going crazy. Let's try the Keeley comp and have a listen to how squishy this can get. That's me trying to play country guitar. No, thank you. But nevertheless, there's some really sweet, super squishy tones in there to be had. And maybe on top of this, let's add an effects block. Let's try a slightly different drive. I want to hear the AC booster, because why not? Let's hear that one. I will engage that block too. Let's just dial it in. Kind of like that more with the compressor off. All right, let's hear another preset. This one, I'm just gonna go all in with the effects. I've got a compressor, a gate, EQ, an amp, modulation, delay, reverb. Going for an 80s clean vibe here. So what we've got going on here is a panning delay. I've got the whole reverb absolutely cranked. I've got a stereo detune. I've got a 6-band EQ just kind of providing a little bit of a mid lift in there. And I have the studio comp absolutely squishing everything. Let's hear each of those elements on their own, starting with the compressor. That's a pretty decent detune as well. I might just bring the shift right back up a bit. demo I do here would be complete without me getting my favorite guitar in drop C, and if you saw my MG-300 demo, you would know that I loved the Überschall model in there. So this is a preset. Based around that, we have a pre-amp Tube Screamer boost. We've got the Uber model dialed up. Again, one of my third-party IRs. This is a V30 one in this case, and I have just a touch of Hall reverb going on there. This one's pretty fun. Absolutely filthy. What I haven't talked about yet is the onboard foot switches and what they can do. So by default, these two here will let you select between different presets, but you can assign this control button here to basically activate whatever you want. I've got it set to control the delay, so I can kick a delay in. And then you can grab something like this little NuX dual foot switch and use the control jack on there to turn various functions on or off. So this one, I'm pretty sure I got set to the tap tempo, and then this one can turn an EQ, so like a solo boost on for me. So if I'm using that and I'm using the tap tempo, that would probably let me do everything I need to do live if I was using this as my main backup. In fact, that's kind of how I've got this particular patch set up. So I can tap the tempo in over here, and then when I want to, I can kick in another boost. I'm gonna pull up there before I get too indulgent. I think you all get the idea of this unit. It sounds pretty good. Is it a better value proposition than the MG-300? You could argue that it's just got essentially the same effects blocks in there. It's just got more switches and it's in a way more robust chassis. But I think the fact that it's actually got, you know, a kind of proper set of ins and outs, it's got the really lovely tactile experience on there. Like, these knobs are smooth, they feel solid, everything is seated really well in the unit. I think it is worth the extra money. If you're gonna spend 150-ish US dollars on something that you want to actually use for maybe more than a year or more than 18 months, if you want something that will give you the option to actually take it to a jam and feel really solid underfoot and have, you know, the ability to use in 4 cable method with your amp if you want, this unit gives you that option, which the MG-300 doesn't. Having said that, if you just want something which is gonna give you some really decent sounding effects and you don't care about the box it comes in, get the MG-300, because for half the price, it gives you all of those kind of sounds. The user experience is in no way as satisfying in my experience, but you know, your mileage may vary there. So let me know what you thought in the comments. Is this a unit you want to go out and get and use for yourself? And we're not quite done, because there's one more thing that I want to say at the end of this video. I've been thinking about this. Who is this unit for? Is this solely the domain of hobbyists, which I know are a lot of people who watch what I do? I'm somebody who plays music for a living, but I also consider myself a hobbyist. It's like I wear 2 hats. It is an all-consuming thing for me with guitar gear and guitar sounds and, you know, all the stuff that happens around that. In the words of Michael Nielsen, I want to make the least amount of music with the most amount of gear. That's me, but that is not necessarily you. This, I think, is really going to tickle some people pink who, you know, when you come home from work and you don't really want to connect a bunch of gear, you don't want to have to use a computer, you just want a relatively satisfying tonal experience with a relatively satisfying UI experience, and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, this kind of ticks that box. Furthermore, if you're somebody watching this video because you're looking for like a multi-effects unit, say for one of your children who's just gotten into playing, this is a way better option than what was available to me when I started playing. You know, my first unit was a Zoom 707, and that in no way sounded like a bunch of Boss pedals or, you know, a Pro rack or anything like that. This is so much closer. That gap has closed. This is an amazing value proposition. But I could say that about so many pieces of gear. I could say that about an Axe FX3, which costs like 7 or 8 times more than this. That is an amazing value proposition as well, but it is by no means for everybody. It's going to be overkill for most people. This is probably going to be overkill for most people as well. If you just wanted a decent delay, go and get like one of the NuX delays or get a Boss delay or something like that. So yeah, who is this for? Maybe it's for you, maybe it's for me, maybe it's kind of for all of us. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you watch this little semi-coherent rant at the end, thanks so much for listening to that. Did it make any sense? I don't know. I might cut it during editing. I might leave it up because that's what we do. That's the MG-30 from NuX. You all stay excellent. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.